So anyway, moving on. So he says that being an alpha male is more involved than you think. He says when people hear the term alpha male, it usually conjures up mental imagery of a super good looking guy who holds the traits of being strong, muscular, and charming all at the same time. This classic representation of such men can be found in many modern day movies. Examples include Brad Pitt, who played Tyler Durden in The Fight Club, and he goes on and on and on. Now, one of the things that he covers in the article, and I'm not going to read every piece of it, but he covers like what it means, where the term alpha male comes from, the link between animal research and alphas, how wolves relate to alpha males, common traits and characteristics of alpha men, the difference between alpha males and A-type personalities. A lot of people think that a type A personality in a man makes him an alpha, and that's just not true. A type A personality is very different. I'll talk about that in a second. So he says, before we get too involved in the traits and characteristics of alpha men, it might help to understand some background behind the term itself. I mentioned this because being an alpha male is multifactorial in nature. So there's many factors that determine what an alpha male is. The phrase alpha male was coined by folks involved in the field of ethology, a 25-cent word used to describe the objective study of animal behavior. Here we're talking about researchers who spent years observing how various kinds of animals interact with one another in the natural environment. We get the term alpha from the Greeks, and then he talks about that certain animals, they noticed that certain animals would exhibit certain behaviors. Certain animals would, be the dominant ones. They'd be the ones out front. They'd be the ones that the females would want to mate with. They'd be the ones that, jumped out and jumped into the fight first, things like that. And so it led them to really become fascinated with the idea of, what is an alpha and how does that work? And remember, human beings are mammals, right? So actually, according to Professor Ken Sapolsky at Stanford University, the human brain is about 95% the same as an animal brain. He does really fascinating lectures on the internet about how he teaches at Stanford University, and he's not a biologist. I forgot what he is exactly, what his exact field is, but he does these really interesting lectures where he compares the human brain to the animal brain and how humans react to situations in animals. Even though we think that we're very different from animals, we have a lot of animal traits inside of us. There's only 5% of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, that distinguishes us from animals. The other 95% is pretty much the same. So here are the characteristics he lists for alpha males, and I'll go into them in detail. Assertiveness, dominance, natural leadership skills, a protective instinct, courageous, physically strong, and curious.